let me share with you one of life's greatest lessons. Something that, once understood, changes the way you live forever. Here it is. No one is coming to save you. It might sound a little cold at first, but it's not. It's one of the most liberating truths you'll ever learn. Because the moment you realize that nobody owes you anything, you stop waiting and you start working. See, most people spend half their life waiting. Waiting for a lucky break. Waiting for recognition. Waiting for someone to believe in them. But life doesn't respond to waiting. It responds to work. When you accept that truth, something powerful happens. You take back your control. You stop depending on others for motivation, and you start depending on discipline. You stop looking for validation, and you start building confidence from within. Now, let me tell you, people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. Everyone's busy fighting their own battles, managing their own worries, trying to figure out their own lives. So if you spend your time worrying about what they think of you, you lose time you could have spent improving you. Don't let opinions shape your potential. Don't let judgment distract you from your journey. People's approval doesn't pay your bills. Their validation doesn't build your future. You do. You are the architect. You are the builder. You are the one responsible for the work, the progress, the results. That's why I always tell people, if you really want to change your life, don't wish for it. Work for it. Wishing makes you hopeful. Work makes you capable. Now, here's another truth. Hard work by itself is not enough. It's essential, but not complete. You must also work intelligently. Discipline without direction is wasted effort. So don't just put in the hours. Make those hours count. Plan, refine, adjust, and improve. Ask yourself every day, is what I'm doing moving me closer to my goals, or just keeping me busy? Most people confuse activity with achievement. They move all day but never move forward. Don't be one of them. Be intentional. You see, success is not about how fast you move. It's about how focused you stay. The winners in life are not the ones with the most talent. They're the ones who stay the most consistent. They do the work when no one's watching. They practice when no one's clapping. They stay disciplined even when it's not exciting. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. You don't need to shout about your goals. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. The results will speak, and when they do, you won't even need validation, because by then you'll have built something stronger, self-respect. So if you remember nothing else from today, remember this: nobody cares more about your success than you. Nobody will do the push-ups for you. Nobody will read the books for you. Nobody will walk the miles for you. It's all you. And that's good news, because that means you're in charge. You don't need permission to start. You don't need approval to grow. You don't need applause to keep going. Just start and keep going, because life doesn't reward effort. It rewards results. And results come to those who stay the course when it's hard, who keep moving when no one's watching, who work not for recognition, but for realization, the realization of their full potential. So tonight, when you go home, look in the mirror and say to yourself, it's all up to me. And that's exactly how I want it to be. Because once you understand that, you become unstoppable. Discipline, focus, and self-respect. Let's go a little deeper into this idea. Because once you've accepted responsibility, the next step is discipline. Now, discipline is the bridge between your goals and your success. It's what connects wishing with winning. It's what turns ideas into results. See, everybody wants success. Everybody says, I want to be great. But wanting is cheap. It's easy to want. The real question is, are you willing to pay the price? Discipline is that price. And the truth is, most people don't like that word. They think it sounds hard or restrictive. But let me tell you, discipline isn't punishment. It's freedom. The disciplined person wakes up each day with direction. They don't wait for motivation. They act out of commitment. They don't rely on how they feel. They rely on what they've decided. Because here's the truth. If you only work when you feel like it, you'll never get very far. But if you learn to work even when you don't feel like it, there's nothing you can't achieve. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't want to do it. It means showing up on the days that are quiet. It means studying when everyone else is relaxing. It means saving when everyone else is spending. It means planning when everyone else is hoping. Because while others are distracted, you are building. While others are resting, you are growing. While others are waiting for opportunity, you are creating it. Now, let's talk about focus. Focus is power, the ability to direct all your energy toward one thing. That's what multiplies results. Most people never reach their potential because they're spread too thin. They want a little bit of everything, but they end up with nothing that lasts. They chase every new idea, every new distraction, every shiny object, and wonder why they never get anywhere. You can't win that way. You got to decide what truly matters. And once you do, give it everything you've got. Focus on one thing until you master it. Lock in so tightly that noise doesn't reach you. When your focus becomes your habit, success becomes your companion. And then something remarkable happens: self-respect. You start to respect yourself when you keep promises to yourself. When you say, "I'll do it," and you actually do. When you say, "I'll wake up early," and you get up. When you say, "I'll give my best," and you mean it. That's where confidence comes from. Not from applause, not from validation, not from compliments, but from the quiet knowledge that you are dependable. That's the kind of power nobody can take away. So remember this sequence. Responsibility builds discipline. Discipline builds focus. And focus builds self-respect. And together, they build success. Because success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Develop your skills. Strengthen your habits. Refine your character. Because if you grow enough, everything else will follow. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more wisdom. Don't wish for less challenges. Wish for more strength. And that's what this journey is all about. Becoming strong enough, wise enough, disciplined enough to create a life that reflects your highest potential. That's the reward. That's the goal. That's success, Jim Rohn style. The quiet grind, working when nobody's watching. Let's talk about the quiet hours. The time when no one's clapping, no one's praising, no one's watching. Because that's where greatness is really built. Everybody loves the idea of success, but not everyone loves the process of earning it. The process is slow. It's lonely. It's repetitive. And yet, that's where transformation happens. See, when you work in silence, you're training something far more important than skill. You're training your character. You're building the muscle that says, "I don't need an audience to stay committed." When you can stay consistent without applause, you're ready for anything. Let me tell you, friends, the quiet grind is the most honest part of your journey. It's where you face yourself. It's where you find out who you really are. Because there's no pretending when no one's around. There's no shortcuts, no showmanship, just you and your effort. It's easy to post your progress. It's easy to talk about discipline. But it's hard to live it when the world isn't watching. That's why the quiet grind matters. It builds integrity. Integrity is what you do when no one's looking. It's keeping your word to yourself. It's finishing the workout when you're tired. It's reading the book when you could be scrolling. It's saving the money when you could be spending. It's saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's worth it. Because here's the truth. You can't cheat growth. You can't fake progress. The results will always reveal the work. So, if you've been grinding in silence and wondering if anyone notices, let me reassure you, the universe notices. Every bit of effort, every moment of patience, every act of discipline, it compounds. And one day, the results will speak so loudly that you won't need to say a thing. That's the beauty of quiet work. When you stay focused long enough, success becomes a noise. Now, understand something very important. Success isn't a sudden explosion. It's a slow build. It's brick by brick. It's a series of small, consistent acts that no one ever sees. Until one day, the wall is finished and people call it overnight success. But you'll know better. You'll know it wasn't luck. It was consistency. It was discipline. It was those late nights and early mornings. It was a decision to show up one more time. That's the secret nobody tells you. The grind isn't glamorous, it's sacred, because that's where you earn the right to be proud of who you've become. So keep working quietly. Keep sharpening your craft. Keep building your foundation in peace. Because when the world finally sees your light, they'll have no idea how long you walked in the dark to build it. That's what I call true success. The kind that isn't built on attention, but on authenticity. And when you live like that, you don't just achieve, you inspire. The seasons of life, understanding growth and patience. Now let's talk about one of life's greatest teachers, time. Time reveals everything. It shows you what's real, what lasts, and what was never meant to be. Just like nature has its seasons, so does your life. And you must learn to respect those seasons. There's a time to plant, and a time to harvest, a time to work in silence, and a time to stand in the light, a time to endure the cold of winter, and a time to celebrate the warmth of summer. The mistake most people make? They try to harvest in the planting season. They get impatient. They want results before roots. But life doesn't work that way. You cannot rush maturity. You cannot microwave growth. Some things simply need time. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the process. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it, and you wait. Because the growth you can't see is often the most important kind. Roots are forming. Strength is building. Character is being shaped beneath the surface. And then one day, the results show up, seemingly all at once. But it wasn't sudden. It was a result of quiet patience. You see, patience isn't about waiting and doing nothing. It's about staying faithful while you wait. It's about staying consistent when nothing seems to be working. It's about trusting that the work will bear fruit in its season. And this is why most people never see their full potential. They give up in winter. They stop watering the seed when it's still underground. They quit before the miracle. But if you can endure the seasons, you will harvest in time. When it's winter, learn. When it's spring, plant. When it's summer, protect. When it's fall, harvest. Every season has a purpose. Every challenge has a lesson. Every delay hides a blessing. You cannot skip the struggle and still keep the strength. You cannot avoid the waiting and still enjoy the wisdom. That's the law of the seasons. So don't rush your process. Don't envy someone else's harvest. You don't know how long they planted in silence. Your time will come, but only if you stay in the field long enough. Because the farmer who quits halfway through the season will never know how rich his harvest could have been. Stay consistent. Stay patient. Stay faithful. And when your season comes, it'll be worth every moment of waiting. Because when the timing is right, life will reward you in ways that effort alone never could. So keep tending your garden. Keep nurturing your dream. And remember, greatness doesn't happen all at once. It happens over time. Becoming the person success is looking for. Now let's talk about something most people overlook. The idea that success is not something you chase. It's something you attract. You don't pursue success. You become the kind of person success is drawn to. That's the real secret. See, everyone wants better results. But not everyone wants to become better themselves. They want change on the outside, without growth on the inside. But life doesn't work that way. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. If you want more, you must become more. If you want to attract better opportunities, you must develop better habits. If you want greater success, you must build greater character. Because success isn't magic. It's a reflection. It reflects the person you become. That's why the real work is inner work. It's shaping your thoughts, your discipline, your consistency, your attitude. You see, money, fame, recognition, they're all byproducts. They follow those who grow beyond who they used to be. You can't just wish for abundance. You must deserve it. And how do you deserve it? By becoming valuable. Value attracts reward. If you want to be paid more, bring more value. If you want to lead, serve more people. If you want to be respected, build integrity. Because the marketplace and life itself always responds to value. That's why you must work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Your income rarely exceeds your level of personal development. To have more, you must first become more. Think about it. A millionaire doesn't stay a millionaire because of the money, but because of the mindset that created it. If you took away everything from them, they could rebuild it because the real wealth is within. So if you want lasting success, don't focus only on what you're getting. Focus on what you're becoming. Become the person who deserves the success you dream of, because once you become that person, success has no choice but to find you. Now, let's talk about your energy. Your energy is your currency in life. It determines what you attract, what you create, and how people respond to you. When you operate with gratitude, focus, and purpose, you radiate strength. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. Success feels it. But when you live in negativity, comparison, or doubt, you push those same things away. So protect your energy like your most valuable possession. Feed your mind daily. Surround yourself with growth. Eliminate what drains you. And remember, your life is always moving toward the energy you hold the most. If you hold fear, you attract problems. If you hold faith, you attract possibilities. So the real question is, what kind of person are you becoming each day? Because your results tomorrow will always be the shadow of your habits today. Work on your discipline. Work on your thoughts. Work on your patience. Work on your purpose. And before long, you won't have to chase success anymore. You'll have become the kind of person who's been looking for all along, the law of consistency, how to keep going when it gets hard. Now let's talk about the law of consistency, because it's one thing to start strong, but it's another thing entirely to keep going. See, everybody's motivated at the beginning. The first week, the first month, it's exciting. New goals, new energy, new possibilities. But then comes a test, when the emotion fades and only the commitment remains. That's where success is truly decided. Consistency is what separates winners from wishers. It's not about what you do once. It's about what you do daily. The small, simple, often boring things that nobody sees, that's where greatness hides. And here's the truth. Consistency isn't built on motivation. It's built on discipline. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel strong. But you can always choose to show up. Even on the days when it's hard, even when progress feels invisible, even when no one claps, no one notices, no one believes. Because those are the days that build your foundation. The struggle strengthens the structure. The repetition refines the skill. The persistence develops the power. I'll tell you this, you'll never rise above the level of your consistency. Talent can take you to the top, but only consistency keeps you there. That's why so many start, but so few finish. They rely on passion, not principle. But passion fades, principle endures. If you only work when it's easy, you'll never see how strong you really are. Consistency is doing what's right, especially when it's not convenient. Now, consistency doesn't mean perfection. You'll have off days. You'll stumble, you'll fail, you'll lose momentum sometimes. But remember this. Consistency isn't about never falling. It's about never staying down. Get back up, refocus, recommit, because every time you rise after falling, you build something stronger than progress. You build resilience. And resilience is the muscle that makes all other muscles work. It's what keeps you in the game when others quit. It's what whispers, try again, when everything says, give up. That's why I tell people, don't count the days, make the days count. Because one solid day of focus is worth 100 days of distraction. And the truth is, most breakthroughs come long after most people would have quit. So when it gets hard, when it feels slow, when you're tempted to stop, that's the very moment to dig deeper. Because consistency is cumulative. Each effort adds up. Each repetition builds strength. Each act of discipline creates momentum. And over time, the results compound, the growth accelerates, and one day you look back and realize you become exactly who you always hoped you'd be. So don't stop when it's hard. Stop when it's done. Stay steady. Stay focused. Stay faithful. Because consistency doesn't just create success, it creates you. The mindset of winners, how to think beyond obstacles. Now, let's talk about the way winners think. Because before success ever happens on the outside, It's built on the inside, in the mind. You see, your mindset is a soil in which every dream either grows or dies. You can plant the right seed, but if the soil is poisoned with doubt, fear, or negativity, it will never take root. That's why every great achievement begins with one belief. I can. Winners understand something powerful. Obstacles are not stop signs. They're tests. They're there to ask, how much do you really want this? Most people give up not because they lack ability, but because they lack belief. They see a challenge and say, this must not be for me. But the winner says, this is where I grow. The mindset of a winner is not, I hope it works. It's, I'll make it work. Because they understand, life doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to intention. You don't need everything to be perfect before you begin. You just need to begin. Because clarity comes from action, not from waiting. And courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Now, here's something I've learned through the years. You will never control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens within you. When something goes wrong, you have two choices. You can complain, or you can learn. You can quit, or you can adapt. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. Winners choose growth every time. They see failure not as final, but as feedback. They don't say, why me? They say, what's this teaching me? Because every setback carries a seed of equal or greater opportunity. If you're willing to look for it, the average mind sees problems. The winning mind sees possibilities. And that's the real difference. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. When you change your attitude, your world rearranges itself around it. That's not just motivation. That's law, the law of the mind. Whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on excuses, you get more of them. If you focus on effort, you get results. If you focus on growth, you get stronger. So protect your thoughts like gold, because your mind is the factory of your future. If you think small, you'll live small. If you think big, you'll live big. Your outer world will always mirror your inner world. And once you realize that, you stop blaming circumstances and start building mindset. That's what separates the good from the great. The greats don't have fewer problems. They just think differently about them. So train your mind to see challenges as training grounds and difficulties as destiny in disguise. Because the more you grow mentally, the less life can shake you emotionally. You'll stop reacting to storms and start walking through them with wisdom. That's the power of perspective. That's the mindset of a winner, the art of self-discipline and emotional control. Now, let's move into one of the most valuable skills you'll ever learn, the art of self-discipline and emotional control. Because let me tell you something. You can't lead a successful life if you can't first lead yourself. You can have the best goals, the best intentions, the best opportunities. But without self-control, you'll lose them all. See, life will always test your emotions. Things won't always go as planned. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will frustrate you. But your power is in how you respond. You don't have to react to everything that happens. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to let someone else's chaos control your peace. That's what emotional maturity is. The ability to stay calm in chaos, to stay grounded when others panic, to think when others shout, to choose discipline over impulse. Because every time you react emotionally, you hand over your power. You let the outside world dictate your inner state. And that's not mastery, that's surrender. The mature mind learns to pause, to breathe, to observe before acting. Because the pause between what happens and how you respond. That's where wisdom lives. Now, self-discipline is a twin brother of emotional control. They work together. Discipline says, I'll do what's right, not what's easy. Emotional control says, I'll think clearly, not react blindly. Together, they make you unstoppable. The truth is, discipline is freedom disguised as effort. It looks hard at first, but it gives you control over your time, your money, your energy, your future. People without discipline live by feelings. If they feel good, they work. If they feel bad, they stop. And their life becomes a roller coaster of inconsistency. But people with discipline, they live by values. They do it because it's right, not because it's easy. They show up whether it rains or shines. They keep promises, even when nobody checks. That's strength. And here's the thing, you'll never always feel motivated. But if you can learn to act without motivation, you've mastered yourself. The great ones aren't the ones who never feel tired. They're the ones who keep going even when they are. That's what separates the average from the extraordinary. Now, let me share a small idea. Your emotions are powerful servants, but dangerous masters. They're meant to inform you, not control you. Use your emotions to guide decisions, not to make them. If you can stay calm when others lose control, you become a leader. Because leadership begins with self-leadership. When you can command your thoughts and discipline your emotions, you become the kind of person others trust, follow, and respect. That's how you build influence. That's how you build strength. That's how you build peace. So learn to master your mornings, and your emotions will follow. Start your day with calm, intention, and focus, because how you start determines how you continue. If you can win the first hour, you can win the day. And if you can win the day, you can win your life. Because mastery doesn't happen overnight. It happens moment by moment, decision by decision, emotion by emotion. Stay centered. Stay disciplined. Stay calm. Because peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of control. The power of purpose. Why you must know your why. Now, let's talk about one of the greatest forces in the world. The power of purpose. Because without purpose, even the strongest person will eventually quit. But with it, even the weakest can endure almost anything. Purpose gives your pain meaning. It gives your struggle direction. It turns every challenge into a chapter, not a conclusion. You see, when you know why you're doing something, the how becomes easier. You can handle the storms because you understand the destination. You can bear the weight because you know what it's building. Most people drift through life not because they're not capable, but because they have no compass. They wake up, go through the motions, but there's no deep why behind what they do. And that's a dangerous way to live, because a life without purpose feels heavy. It drains you. It numbs you. You start asking, what's the point? And when that question goes unanswered, discipline disappears and motivation dies. But once you discover your purpose, everything changes. Your energy rises. Your focus sharpens. Your actions gain meaning. You stop being busy and start being directed. Purpose gives you a reason to wake up early, a reason to stay late, a reason to keep going when no one's watching. It becomes a fire that never goes out. Now, your purpose doesn't have to be grand or global. It just has to be real. Something that moves you, that speaks to your soul. For some, it's building a family. For others, it's creating art, teaching, leading, or serving. Whatever it is, it must come from within. Because if your purpose is borrowed from the world, you'll live by the world's approval. But if your purpose is born from within, you'll live by your own conviction. And that's a powerful way to live. Purpose gives you direction, but it also gives you endurance. Because when you're driven by purpose, setbacks don't stop you, they refine you. You don't see failure as defeat. You see it as feedback. You don't quit when it's hard. You remind yourself why you started. That's the difference between the inspired and the exhausted. The inspired worker doesn't ask, how long will it take? They ask, how far can I go? Because purpose doesn't count the hours. It fills them. And here's something important. Purpose isn't found. It's built. You discover it through movement, through work, through exploration. You won't find your purpose by sitting still. You'll find it by doing, by serving, by learning what sets your soul on fire. So if you haven't found it yet, don't worry. Just start with what you have. Your gifts, your strengths, your curiosity. Do what you can where you are, with what you've got, and your purpose will begin to reveal itself. Because purpose is like a sunrise. It doesn't appear all at once. It grows brighter with time, as long as you keep walking toward it. And once you know your why, you'll never run out of reasons to keep going. That's the secret to endurance. That's the foundation of greatness. That's what gives your life direction and your soul peace. So remember this. People without purpose are easily distracted. People with purpose are impossible to stop. Find your why, live from it, work through it, and let it guide every choice, every habit, every dream. Because once you live with purpose, you don't just exist anymore, you matter. The law of becoming, turning discipline, mindset, and purpose into legacy. At some point, my friend, you stop asking, what will I get from life? And start asking, what will life get from me? Because the ultimate purpose of growth isn't just to have more, it's to become more. That's the great law of becoming. Everything you've learned, discipline, mindset, purpose, all of it leads here. You don't attract success by chasing it. You attract it by becoming the kind of person who deserves it. You don't wish for a better life. You build one. From the inside out, the soil of success is your character. Your habits are the seeds. Your daily actions are the water. And time is the sunlight that reveals a harvest. So the question is, what kind of person are you becoming? Because every choice is shaping you. Every action is molding your future self. And every day, you're either moving closer to your potential or further away from it. You can't fake growth. You can't shortcut character. You can't pretend to be consistent. The results always tell the truth. And if you want a better harvest, you must first improve the gardener. That's the essence of Jim Rohn's philosophy. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Because when you get better, everything gets better. Your relationships, your opportunities, your peace, your income, your joy. You see, your outer world is a mirror. It reflects your inner strength, your values, your mindset. Change a reflection by changing the source. That's why success is never luck. It's alignment. When your actions, habits, and purpose line up, life opens doors that once seemed locked. And here's the deeper truth. You are always in the process of becoming something, but you get to decide what that something is. Will you become bitter or better? Will you become distracted or disciplined? Will you become a consumer of life or a contributor to it? The power is always in your hands. Every book you read, every hour you practice, every act of discipline, they're all writing your legacy. Because legacy isn't something you leave behind. It's something you live every day. It's the trail of influence, of integrity, of example, that others can follow long after you're gone. So live in such a way that your presence is a gift and your absence is felt as inspiration. Build habits that your future self will thank you for. Speak words that uplift, not wound. Pursue dreams that stretch you, not shrink you. Because one day when you look back, you'll realize the greatest reward was not what you achieved, but who you became in the process. That's the final secret. That's the message Jim Rohn spent his life teaching. You have the power to design your life, but first you must design yourself. So begin today. Shape your thoughts. Strengthen your discipline. Anchor your purpose. And soon, the world will see not just what you've done, but what you become. That's the law of becoming. That's how ordinary people rise to extraordinary lives. And that is how you turn your discipline, your mindset, and your purpose into a legacy. The final reflection, the return to self. There comes a moment in every journey when the noise fades, the applause quiets, and you find yourself alone, face to face with the person who started it all, you. And in that silence, you realize something profound. The race was never against the world. It was always within. You weren't chasing success. You were chasing clarity. You weren't collecting trophies. You were uncovering truth. You weren't trying to prove something to others. You were trying to remember who you really are. All the striving, the late nights, the doubt, the moments when you thought you couldn't go on. They were never punishments. They were invitations. Invitations to return home to yourself. Stronger, wiser, and more awake. Because every great achievement, every mountain climbed, every goal reached, it all leads back to one place. Your own awareness. When you finally see that growth isn't about becoming someone new, but remembering who you were meant to be all along. That's when life becomes peaceful. You stop fighting the process. You stop rushing the seasons. You stop measuring yourself against others. And instead, you start listening to the quiet whisper that's been guiding you from the start. That voice says, keep your heart open. Stay humble. Work hard, but don't forget to rest. Dream big, but never forget to be grateful. Because the goal of all discipline, of all success, is not to gain control. It's to find balance, to live in alignment with what truly matters, to wake up each morning not with pressure, but with purpose, to go to bed each night not with regret, but with peace. That's the art of life. That's the return to self. You realize the real victory wasn't in the achievements, but in the transformation. You became more patient, more aware, more capable of love. And that's what all this was for. So now, as the journey continues, walk calmly, work wisely, give freely, and live intentionally. Because the person who knows themselves can never be lost. And when the lights fade, when the world grows quiet again, you'll stand there, still steady whole, and you'll smile because you'll finally understand. The end of becoming is the beginning of being. Epilogue, the beginning of wiser days. And so, my friend, we arrive at the quiet conclusion, not an ending, but a continuation. Because every ending in life is simply a new beginning, wearing the disguise of change. You've walked through lessons, through seasons of growth, through the long nights of doubt, and the bright mornings of hope. And now you stand here, not the same person who began this journey, but someone reborn through discipline, tempered by struggle, refined by reflection, and guided by purpose. This is the beginning of wiser days, the days where you no longer chase. You choose, where you no longer wish. You work, where you no longer seek approval. You understand your worth, because wisdom is not loud. It doesn't demand attention. It simply radiates through your patience, through your kindness, through the calm confidence of a person who's met themselves and decided to stay. Now, you carry within you the real wealth, not possessions, but perspective, not status, but stillness, not followers, but fulfillment. And when the world grows restless, you'll be the one who remains centered because you've learned that peace isn't found in the world, it's created within. So, as this chapter closes, take a moment to breathe, to look back, not in regret, but in gratitude. Every hardship taught you resilience. Every delay taught you patience. Every loss carved space for wisdom to enter. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. And from this stillness, a new vision begins to rise. A vision for the person you're still becoming, for the life you're still creating, for the legacy you're still writing, moment by moment, choice by choice. So walk forward now, not hurried, not afraid, but awake, because the story doesn't end here. It begins again, with clearer eyes, a stronger heart, and a spirit that finally understands what it means to live. Remember this. You are the author. You are the architect. You are the work in progress. And the masterpiece all at once. It's time to begin again, but wiser, more patient, more purposeful, more you,